where do we get in the jet? Knowing they have a jet.
Yeah.
And now they're on a private jet that the rich person's paying for.
Yeah.
And then they're like, how did I get roped into it? But the friendship doesn't continue past that.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's a good grift.
Yeah.
Developing today, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's grift has been exposed as the duplicitous Duchess is caught lying about the paparazzi. Royal YouTube sensation P. Diner is with me, and we are going to tackle all of this today. So, P. Diner, we've obviously known this is going on for a long time, but I found this revelation from Heather McDonald of the podcast Juicy Scoop, who she was alongside Zach Peter, by the way, who's made a lot of good revelations about Harry and Meghan in the past. I thought this was really interesting because what it shows, P. Diner, is how Harry and Meghan are using their relationships with rich friends, powerful individuals in a way to get them not necessarily cash, but assets and the loan of private jets and other, very, very expensive things that they can no longer afford themselves. And of course, this comes in a week where fashion labels have started to reveal that, Meghan isn't known for returning clothes after borrowing them. So it's pretty damning stuff. Let's have a watch, P. Diner, and I'll get your reaction on the back.
How I know some info from some of the rich millennial people that they've tried to be friends with.
Yeah.
And they do stuff like that. They're like, or at least they did. Oh, we love Aspen. When are you not using your house? And then all of a sudden they go, okay, fine, you can use the house that week. And then they're like, and then where do we get in the jet? Knowing they have a jet.
Yeah.
And now they're on a private jet that the rich person's paying for.
Yeah.
And then they're like, how did I get roped into it? But the friendship doesn't continue past that.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's a good grift.
Yeah.
I think it's all through her, and then he finalizes it.
Yeah.
Like he does the finalization in the English
Did you see what happened?
Fascinating insight there, I thought, P. Diner, as to how they effectively force people into continuing loaning them their shit, their expensive shit. But the thing is, in the end, even the Elton Johns of this world, even the Tyler Perrys of this world are not fooled time and again. What did you make of it?
Yeah, and even the Clooneys, right? They have them. There is a thing that we don't really see, but it's there. It's the talking amongst the celebrities about certain people that doesn't become mainstream news, but it's like news that people know about. And I think this is what people know about Harry and Meghan. They are the kind of people that they want to appear like they have all this wealth, and they are like royalty. And this is just a fantasy in Meghan's head. But we know Harry to be the one out there trying to, help with the things that Meghan has wanted him to do, because that's what his job is. He's the handbag to Meghan. He just kind of tries to do these things to support her, thinking that, this is what we need to do right now, and it just is embarrassing. Okay. It is so embarrassing because they don't really have the earnings. They don't have the empire that they wish they had. So people know, they see them coming a mile away. Come on. Right? It's just so it's ridiculous. Embarrassing is the word.
Yeah, and I mean, the problem is, P. Diner, I feel like every aspect of their life now is a grift. Because even if you look at what's going on in the UK, and I'd say the two big events, which are both going to come to a head over the next couple of months for Prince Harry, are his latest demands of the Home Secretary in the United Kingdom against his father's wishes to give the security back. It's not going to happen, P. Diner, but it is a grift. It is fundamentally a grift, because that is all about being able to travel for commercial reasons, yet have paid security, paid for by us, the British taxpayer, to do so. Well, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Just don't, we don't pay for, the singer Adele's security. when she returns to the United Kingdom on a tour. So you've got that grift, and I think that's going to collapse. And then you've also got the grift in terms of this case against the Daily Mail, which is collapsing by the day. Harry is now sort of saying, oh, naughty Daily Mail, you're leaking all of this information against me. Well, I'm sorry, that's what your side has been doing for months and years, but just weeks out from the case, which is meant to be heard next, well, I think it's in January, isn't it? So we're not quite in December yet, but, only a few weeks out, a couple of months out, the key witness has said, well, I never made these revelations whatsoever. So my point being, these various different grifts are collapsing, and it's no way to live. It is no way to live, but it's what happens when you are living beyond your means. And of course, the warning in all of this, P. Dinah, to the British royal family is, what grift were I shouldn't say that now. What grift was Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Sarah Ferguson on for the past 2 decades? It was exactly the same thing. And when you're on a grift like that, that's when you get tied in to very, very unsavory characters. And so the fact that Harry and Meghan are on this grift right now with, the Hollywood elite, okay, that might not be causing reputational damage to the royal family, but just wait till they all start saying no. And trust me, that's happening. Then the grift moves to, dodgy regimes, dodgy Middle Eastern states, dodgy business people who want some type of favor from the British government or the British royal family. So that's where this grift, I think, look, it's embarrassing on one level. Of course it's embarrassing to hear about a former prince, or I guess a current prince and Harry, begging for a ride on a private jet, begging to stay at a mansion. Like, that is mortifying to me as a British subject, a subject of the Commonwealth. But it's also dangerous, P. Dinah, in terms of where this will lead. I mean, I won't even say where this may lead. I now say where this will lead.
Right. I mean, I think Harry is getting more and more pushed out, especially when William takes the throne. And the more desperate he is going to become, it's these little things, these associations. And you also have to think about the people that are trying to grift off of Harry and Meghan who are shady. There are people who are plotting and trying to get in alignment with Harry, that it would not be good for Harry to align with. But he will get into a position where he'll be so desperate, he'll be so pushed out from the royal family that he will even align himself with these shady business people who are trying to grift off of him. And then where does that lead him in his future? It just starts to spiral into this depths of unsavory business practices because you don't have any real legitimate means to doing and earning your worth. And I think that's where Harry will lead. It's just like what happened to the Yorks. They kept doing these things and making these mistakes time and time again because they were just being pushed out. This bad behavior just led to no real legitimacy within the organization. And it to me, it's a blueprint for what we see happening with Harry and Meghan right now, what has happened with the Yorks. That's clear and simple. And I think even worse because we're in the age of social media now. It just to me looks like a disaster waiting to happen with Harry and Meghan. I mean, Harry, for the fact that this evidence now that has been forged, I mean, that is unheard of. Now he's going to be a part of this lawsuit and like, did he have something to do with that? Like, is his name now attached to doing something ethical? Harry is going to continue finding himself in these situations because he is out there alone without real connection to those that can really protect and take care of him. His disconnection from the monarchy has left him in a free fall, and who knows where that will lead him. He can't manage this on his own, and having that woman Meghan beside him trying to get what she's trying to do with Hollywood, it's a disaster waiting to happen. It's really a time to be looking at these two like, yeah, this is not going to be good for them at all. And it's going to be even worse, I think, when William takes the throne because he'll really be pushed out then.
And P. Dinah, lots of their old comments now quite rightly coming back to haunt them. Hans pointed out, Meghan's scared of a single paparazzi on a scooter says everything, no real security threat. At fashion shows and public sightings, she's smiling and confidently walking to her car with zero concern. This proves that Harry's security concerns not to come back to the UK were all fake. And she included this video. These are the receipts. Watch.
Do we have that pap on the scooter again?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, we do? Really? Same guy?
Same guy.
Oh my God.
Watched him go into this park and then...
Is he gonna be with us?
Yes, sir. He was just ahead.
There's a lot of people who think they've got such a problem with paparazzi.
Yeah, those, the guys in the basement of the building, too, as we were doing that walk, they were recording, too, just so you're aware.
Back in my mum's day, it was physical harassment.
So Pete Diner is like, I'm sorry, we're keeping the receipts, okay? And we're going to call you out for your lies over many years.
Yes. He always tries to make this comparison to his mother. Diana was on a whole nother scale. That is not their story at all. And we know that they were even faking the paparazzi that were taking pictures of them, because that's what they have to do. They have to create this illusion of being harassed. But, you look at people like Beyonce and Jay-Z, they managed to get into the Kardashian party without being papped the way, that you should do it. There are ways to do it. But the fact that Harry and Meghan, for that fact, want to be papped, want to show themselves arriving, to show their profile as being important because, the paparazzi is, taking photos of them, whatever. They're doing that because that's what they want. And then they want to create an illusion like they're being harassed. But when you look deep, it's not a harassment. People could care less about Harry and Meghan, right? But true, real celebrities, they know how to navigate this in a way where you're not put in these situations. And that's not what they're trying to do. They want to be seen like this and lie and give this false sense of harassment. People are on to Meghan and her game. We get you. We see you, girl, what you're doing.
Yes, indeed we do. But of course, there has been a lot of reporting this week, P. Diner, about Prince Harry being secretly at war with the British royal family. This was especially after he lied about the fact that he had briefed the palaces in regards to his trip to Canada, when Buckingham Palace is like, recollections may vary. Again, translation, you're a big fat fibber. And according to Taz posted on this, he never stopped waging war with his family. It's only been the stupid mainstream media that keep moaning he should be welcomed back with open arms. Harry's version of events have been disputed by both Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace. And I think, honestly, P. Diner, Taz has such a good point there, because at the end of the day, it absolutely has been the mainstream media that has been trying to force this idea that there is a way back for Harry, and there should surely be no way back after his behaviour. And remember, it was the mainstream media relying on briefing from Harry's camp, he's going to start sharing his diary. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit, because then the week where it really matters, William in Brazil, that was his week. There's not just the diary clash with Harry in Canada, which was absolutely used to undermine William. There was the diary clash with Meghan turning up on her film set, her Amazon film set for the first time, leaked to the Sun newspaper, of course, and even King Charles getting in on the act, scheduling the investiture of David Beckham. So it's like, come on, let's just stop this balderdash that you give a damn. These diary clashes are purposeful. They've been going on for some time. But it is part of Harry's war against the royal family, is the point that I'm making. It's not a coincidence. He's changed nothing. If anything, he's got worse.
Yeah, and he'll continue to get worse because Harry doesn't really come in an authentic way what he is trying to do. He's just grifting, even with his family. And I think the king allows some of this. I don't know. I just feel like there's just something going on that needs to put a stop to what Harry is doing. Clearly, when it's good that they came out and said that, they had no idea that he was going to or helped out in Canada, because, Harry is just doing things because he's spoiled. He thinks he's entitled. He thinks he is somebody that can just do what he wants. His dad's the king. And hasn't really had any real pushback. And you get the media trying to play into this, support to come back. But Harry is just grifting everywhere because what else can he do? He's lost. He is out there alone trying to make a way, and he doesn't care who he hurts. He doesn't really have any backbone. He's just in a position now that I think he regrets he's in because of his wife. What else can he do now? Right? He is trying and also very not nice to what his brother is trying to do because he's jealous of his brother, and he's going to get what's coming to him sooner than later, I think, because Harry is not going to bring any worth or value to the monarchy, period. It's never going to happen because as long as Meghan is aligned with Harry, they will never show up in a way to be supportive and aligned in purpose with the monarchy. And if that's not the case, then you are a threat to the monarchy and the work. And Harry is playing right into that. So he cannot be trusted at all.
And I just think it's too late anyway. I think it's too late. I think Harry's missed the boat. We're never going to forget the comments, but also, as he quite rightly pointed out, he had a window of time before Prince George emerged. Now, Prince George is still incredibly young, 12 years old, P. Dinah, but he's emerging earlier, of course, because of the health struggles with King Charles. So, indeed, for Harry, the window was even shorter than initially it was going to be. But the problem is he's botched the window so badly, he's made everyone hate him during that window of time. So it's like it's already too late. But first, by the age of 50, we've likely lost half our collagen, opening the door to aching joints, brittle bones, and tired-looking skin that ages you before your time. But there's hope. Native Path collagen peptides are helping millions refill that gap. And here's what sets Native Path apart. Just one clean ingredient. Third-party tested for heavy metals and purity. No fillers, no junk, over 5 million jars sold, and 8,000 five-star reviews. I think that says it works, right? Native Path customers are reporting stronger, more flexible joints, finally moving without pain, smoother, more youthful skin that turns back the clock, and thicker, fuller hair in as little as 14 days. Imagine waking up, feeling like yourself again, active, confident, and pain-free. Right now, visit trynativepath.com/outspoken for a special bundle deal at a fraction of the retail price, backed by a risk-free 365-day guarantee.
We have a food industry that knows nothing about health and a health industry that knows nothing about food, right? And once you really understand that, you can see why we're in the problems that we are. We watch TV and they're feeding us all these foods that are refined and processed and get us sick. And the next commercial is a commercial about a pill that we're supposed to take. The forefront of what we do here at Native Path is we try to get people off the path of what most people are doing is eating that stuff and taking those pills and get them on the path to eating, moving, and living in harmony with their biology. Collagen is, in my opinion, it's the one thing that if you take it, everything else starts to get easier or unnecessary because it's so foundational in the structure of your body. We're deficient in this very important protein that our ancestors got plenty of. So it's a big part of what I say is important when we're aging. You have to have this as part of your diet.
But act now, supply is tight and demand is soaring. This deal won't last long. Don't let another day go by feeling older than you look. Visit trynativepath.com/outspoken today, or just click on the link below this video in the description box. But now, back to the show. I want to talk about Princess Catherine for one moment. I mean, she's obviously had such a strong week in so many ways, not just that appearance, but of course also her own solo appearance where she unveiled her vision of love and the fact that she wants to be the queen of love in the future. But P. Dinah, so much of the mainstream media continue to, I believe, degrade and undermine Catherine by calling her by her previous name, Kate Middleton. Now, in the past, I used to be like, okay, I sort of, because when I was in the mainstream media at GB News and the Daily Mail and places like that, your bosses would always say to you, P. Dinah, no, Dan, we have to use Kate Middleton because otherwise it's not picked up by the search and by the algorithm on YouTube or Google or wherever it happens to be. But it's like, I'm sorry, that's proven not to be true. I made the decision pretty early on, P. Diner and my sort of outspoken voyage, that no, I'm going to take that risk, and I'm now going to refer to Kate Middleton as Catherine, unless I'm actually quoting from a publication which calls her Kate, because then it's within the context of doing so. But what we've seen this week is the British Bashing Corporation, the BBC, the state broadcast, have to apologise to Catherine for using the name Kate Middleton. Well, they didn't do that for any algorithmic reasons. I believe it's a deliberate attempt to undermine her. And Colin Brazier, my friend, former GB News presenter, has now pointed this out from the Daily Mail after they posted yet again. This was in regards to her latest Mother Nature film. Kate Middleton rewears her favourite barber waxed jacket. And Colin wrote, the Daily Mail wouldn't consider its worldview anti-monarchist. So why do its writers insist on routinely stripping the Princess of Wales of her royal title? Andrew Mountbatten Windsor deserved his downgrade. But what did the future Queen do wrong? And I think this has reached a bit of a tipping point, P. Diner, because at the end of the day, unless people in the mainstream media are bold enough and brave enough to say, it's been years now, if we all start referring to Catherine as Catherine, the Princess of Wales, or even Princess Catherine, then the public will come with us. So I sort of do agree with Colin Brazier now that this does feel like yet another mainstream attempt to sort of go anti-monarchy.
Well, I think there was an issue with calling Catherine because of Camilla, the two seeds. I know that it came down from the House of Windsor that they wanted Catherine to be called Kate to differentiate between the two C's.
And that was
So
on Charles's side, wasn't it?
yes, right. Okay, so why do you think that that is still happening? Could it still be coming from the king? Is
I
this
believe
why?
so, certainly with the
Yeah,
Daily Mail, right? Because we know
right.
that Tobin Andre, who is the communications director for King Charles, is a former deputy editor at the Daily Mail. I mean, I know him. He used to be my boss, actually, at the Mail. You know, nice guy, but he's there to do what Charles wants. And we've seen a lot of the briefing to the people who I describe as like the wicked witches of the Daily Mail, you know, Amanda Patel and Liz Jones, you know, all of the people who've been attacking Catherine. I think that's a very good point. He'll be like, no, you just keep on calling her Kate Middleton. That's fine with us because we've got our
Exactly.
Queen C, you know, and our Queen C is Queen Camilla, okay? And that's who
Right.
matters right now.
Yeah, that's I think why they're doing it. And so he's just trying to prop up, Camilla. And the king, I think, just doesn't care that they're saying that. So, but I think to Catherine's point, she's strong in her mission, her power as the future queen. To just let it, roll off of her shoulders. People will do that, but she still is who she is to us. We're never going to strip her of calling her Catherine. And glad that you're doing that. I'm doing that as well, and others who respect her position. But, I think her power and who she is will remain strong. And I think it even strengthens her in her stance when she is undermined by the news publications when they do that. So, hey, what can we do? But she has her worth, and we feel her, and we don't let that change how we feel about her at all. But it is disrespectful. It says a lot more about these publications than it does about Catherine, because she's doing a great job.
And then the other big royal news of the week, P. Diner, Fergie, Sarah Ferguson, it looks like she's finally going to flee the United Kingdom. This from Andrew Lowney, of course, behind Entitled, the autobiography, it wasn't an autobiography, was it? The biography, which effectively did lead to the downfall of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, but also Sarah Ferguson. He writes on his Substack, P. Diner, Fergie has a strong desire for a more secure future and to escape the conflict and financial impropriety she has been involved in the past few decades. Multiple sources close to Fergie have confirmed that she'd move to the US in a heartbeat if she could land her own TV show. For years, Fergie has had a strong desire to follow in the footsteps of her TV idol Oprah Winfrey. Back in 2002, Fergie filmed a pilot that would have given her the afternoon slot that Oprah occupied for 25 years. However, a top TV producer decided to give the gig to Ellen DeGeneres instead. Would you watch Fergie on TV? Where do you think she'll move? Beverly Hills, Portugal, or elsewhere? Well, I mean, P. Dinah, look, I think this is a pipe dream now. Because if you look at some of the headlines, coming out of the US over the past 24 hours, there is now a reckoning over Epstein. And actually, the Jeffrey Epstein reckoning, I think, is going on much more in the US in some ways than it is the UK. Because if you look at the people in the UK that had these connections to Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell in jail, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor stripped of everything, Sarah Ferguson loses her Duchess title and her reputation, Peter Mandelson, the former US ambassador, booted out of his job. So you could argue actually the reckoning is coming much more in the United States than the United Kingdom. But as a result of that, isn't Fergie just totally barking up the wrong tree, thinking that she's going to get a TV deal? I mean, really, Pete Dinah, would anyone touch her stateside
No, like,
now?
Fergie, girl, just take your butt on to the Portugal, go somewhere else. Don't come to the United States. It's just not going to happen for you here. It is, yeah, a lot of things are happening here. I mean, Epstein's story is everywhere here. And, your association, we see that. And I think she can only do herself good by just disappearing. I mean, there's just no way she's going to be able to come here and think that she's going to be welcomed. She's got enough to just live a comfortable, peaceful life. Why not just go do that? Why try to come here and make yourself, have opportunity? It just seems like you're just asking for trouble with that, So no, I don't think people would even care to watch her. We know the association that she had, her association, the things that she said about him being a super friend. Like, no, get out of here. Sorry, Fergie, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
She just
greed.
needs to disappear.
Yep. But it's greed. It's
Yeah,
insanity.
it
It's
is.
delusion. And she was able to turn it around so many times before. She was selling access to Prince
Yeah,
Andrew, and he was Prince Andrew at the time, hence why I'm using that
right.
title. And I was at News of the World at that time, and because the fake sheikh Maz Mahmood ended up being jailed and he was sort of discredited, she was able to get away with it again. But I mean, at the end of the day, she
Mhm.
was selling access to Andrew. I mean, go and watch the video. Yeah, it
Right.
may have been set up in a very immoral tabloid sting, but she was doing
Mm.
it, and
Yeah,
she's had comeback after comeback after comeback, and I just think this time it may be too
not this
difficult,
time.
but never rule it out. I will be watching what she's doing with interest, and I do understand she's still, for a lot of people there is still a likability factor there with Fergie, and I do understand that. But I think the idea, given this, Epstein scandal is dragging so many people in the US, big
Yeah,
names, big Democratic names losing everything,
yeah.
years later because of these emails being released. The idea that anyone is actually going to touch Fergie, I just think it's for the birds. I mean, remember, she's even been dropped by ITV here in the UK. But P. Dinah,
Right.
fascinating
Mhm.
discussion. And of course,
Mhm.
if you want much more of it, then do sign up to P. Dinah's super duper YouTube channel. I absolutely love it. Brilliant analysis of the royal family. And of course, if you do want further